Well, hello again, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Allison Rouse, author of, I keep doing that, We've Got Tonight, The Life and Times of Notorious Groupie, me, and these other little books right here. Where you can get everything is down in that description, guys, so go down. Merchandise, Patreon, books, beer or cocktail today, it's all down there, so go hit it up. And as always, a special thank you guys so much for finally getting me to over 1,000. So awesome for all the help, you guys. Desiree, Diana, Christina, so many people Ronnie, that I keep forgetting to mention. So I'm trying to mention everybody as I go along. And all the new people, welcome. Hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you find a new perspective, because we're not almost famous here. We're scandalously infamous. Much more fun. Speaking of much more fun, we are going to talk about a subject that's nothing to do with the book today. Has to do with my life, but it's not in the book. Let's just put it that way. So anyway, we're going to talk about, a lot of Metallica people have said on several message boards, because I get these private messages all the time. I don't surf these message boards or bother with a lot of stuff like that. That's not me. So, but it keeps the same theme, the same thing. I'm hung up on James Hetfield. She's so hung up on James Hetfield. It's not true. Not at all. We're going to find out why. And today, our cocktail, our beer of the day is one of my favorites. The Dragon's Milk. This is a bourbon soaked stout. These guys are awesome. They are New Holland Brewery out of Michigan. Guys, give them a try. If you see this one, get it. So delicious. And you're going to love it. And I do want to say, you guys, a Happy New Year. May 2023 find us all free, peaceful, happy, and living the dream. Whatever yours is. Be true to yourself. And have a wonderful, wonderful year. So everybody, ooh, look what I'm using, guys. I finally got my Sophia mug in. I've been waiting for this thing. So we are going to pour some beer. Because, you know, Sophia was full of Dragon's Milk. She had some saucy little things coming out that mouth. And I've had some pretty interesting stuff coming in mine. So everybody, grab your Sophias, kick up your feet. Let's have a little cocktail and rocktail. Cheers, big ears. Definitely going to swallow this more than I will swallow Kipwinger. And I'll take it out of Sophia's head. No problem. So anyway, we're going to talk about my reality, not what you guys want to talk about and accuse me of when you're sitting there posting 50 different pictures of James Hetfield yourself all day. I'm not the one who's hung up on him. Not at all. There's only one man, and I wouldn't call it hung up. I would call it, I wonder what if. You know, not hung up, but wonder what if. So, we're going to talk about who that man is today. All right, so picture it. Seattle, 1994. I had to do it, guys. Had to. All right, so I was living in Seattle. It was 1994. And things were kind of strained between Kristen and I at the time. Just this is kind of the fact, not something I'm trying to exasperate or anything. It's definitely in the past, but excuse me, I have hair in my eyeball. So I was spending a lot of time on my own or with Andrea when we were hanging out with bands and stuff or just goofing off. And one night I decided to hang out on my own. And I went to a restaurant down in Pike Street and happened to be walking out of the restaurant. This tall, olive-skinned, dark-haired, beautiful man in this linen suit just was walking in. And it was just the strangest moment because we caught each other's eyes and we just looked right at each other and smiled and kind of kept going past each other. And I get a little bit out of the restaurant and was going up the stairs when I was like, you know what? Because it just felt something like when our eyes met, it's just something just connected. I cannot even explain it. And you guys know, if you've ever experienced this, you understand. So I got a few feet out of the restaurant and I was like, no, I want to go say hi to this guy. I don't know what it is, but it just drew me back. Not like nervous or crazy or anything like that, just naturally drew me back. So I turn around to go walk back in the restaurant, and as I'm getting closer to the door, I see it open up, and there he is, doing the exact same thing I was just doing. He was like, I couldn't let you, because he was by himself as well. He wasn't there with any friends, anything like that. So we just kind of stopped when he opened up the door, and I was turning around to walk back in. We both just stopped and looked at each other and just knew. There was just like this instant natural comfort. Like, this is someone I had known my whole life. Didn't even know his name yet. Didn't even know his name at all yet. So we just looked at each other and smiled and kind of, okay. Went in, he introduced himself to me. He didn't have a lot of time. He was just up there on business, and he's from Los Angeles, but he was up there on business and just happened to decide to go into this particular place. Just wandered in, just wasn't even looking to go eat, but he's like, you know what, I just want to go in there. I'll go ahead, maybe grab a glass of wine or something. Well, he ended up grabbing a lot more, me. And no, we didn't go to bed together that night. Not when we first met. He was leaving the next morning. We ended up at the restaurant just sitting there and talking for like an hour, maybe 2 hours. Just, like I said, it was just natural. Like, we were just kind of laughing, just kind of talking about different stuff, different things. Not a lot about ourselves, but just kind of carrying on a really awesome conversation. Like I said, talking to each other was just the most natural flow. And it wasn't just me. It was just between us both. You could feel that just thing going on, and like I said, I can't explain it. So I end up giving him my phone number, which is not something I do a lot. You can ask musicians. If you get my phone number, wow, that's saying something. And this is before cell phones and stuff, you know, when I was living with Kristen and her boyfriend and his best friend at our house in West Seattle. The beautiful view of the Sound and the Pike Street and gorgeous, gorgeous view. And the Edgewater Hotel, where the Led Zeppelin Mud Shark incident happened. Well, Groupie needs that in her skyline if she's going to be living in Seattle. Yeah. So anyway, I give him my phone number. He goes home the next day. Next thing I know, he calls me and he's like, I just want to see you again. He's like, I had such a great time with you, and I don't just meet people randomly like this. So next thing I know, I'm on a plane, first class, down to La Jolla. Yeah. Stayed at this amazing little boutique hotel with 2 penthouse suites. One had a small balcony, and ours had the big balcony. And you know, I didn't know what to expect, because this is a man I talked to on the phone for maybe a week and a half before I met once in person. And I do this all the time with rock stars, but it's different because rock and roll is such a sheltered universe. So you have a comfort zone, you have a safety. And this guy is not rock and roll at all. International business. All kinds of cool things about this guy. So anyway, I go down there and we get checked into the hotel, and he's like, let's go to dinner. And at dinner, like I said, it just felt, when we walked into George's on the coast, this restaurant down La Jolla by our hotel. And again, it was something that was just so natural, that just sort of flowed. And we told each other about our lives and our truths and our realities. And it was all okay, because it seemed like the whole time, this is just where we were supposed to be. And at that dinner, when we were talking, I suddenly realized to myself that I see the woman that I want to be when, you know, I transition and the life I want to have. And he sees that in me and I can present that to him and just be everything that I am now and what he sees and what I see in the future, and know that he sees that too. And he sees a different side to me than the stripper groupie, basically. He sees the woman that I was raised as, that I wanted to be, that I was working towards. You know, because you can't be a stripper forever, but what are you going to do after? Well, I had a lot of good plans, and we were talking about them, and we were talking about this new venture he was starting with one of his businesses and stuff like that. And like I said, it was just the most natural. We spent the whole weekend just he and I, and it was so typical romantic something, you know, because when you're out on the road with rock and roll, you do cute things, romantic things in the time that you can. You do sightsee if you're in a city where sightseeing it and they don't have a lot of interviews or business and stuff to do. So this was just kind of the typical, not typical, but something I had never experienced, you know, walking on the beach, playing with the seals, hanging out on the veranda or the big, huge balcony for breakfast and looking at that beach and the cove. And like I said, just completely bonding in a different way with this amazing man, because he was amazing, and he's got this dreamy, this from the hair and the eyes and the lips and his upbringing and the person that he had become and who he was and how he was so not judgmental of the fact that, and I was honest, I hang out with a lot of bands. That's really, so this is a different scene for me. And it was, like I said, one of the most amazing first dates really of my life. And we ended up the next 10 years back and forth on, not like full relationship. We knew what we were to each other because things were complicated, you know, not just in my life, but in his as well. So we spent 10 years seeing each other whenever we could. And every time I saw him, I saw the woman I was becoming more and more, not just through my eyes, but his. And we all know how amazing that is. And what a gift that is for however long we have it. And every moment I was with him, it was a different sophistication. Like I said, with rock and roll, yes, there's a lot of money. There's sophistication. There's private planes. But with Malibu, let's call him, there was a sophistication that I had been raised with within my family. And, you know, on our 13th birthday, we were taken out to the most expensive restaurant as a manners test. We were raised, you know, doing charity. It just different, you know, ways. And I saw that side of myself again when I was with him. And it drove me. And like I said, we did such different things together. And, you know, I think towards the end, I was living in Las Vegas, and it was a little easier for him to see me there, or me to see him when I was in LA, because I lived in LA for a little while. For like 6 months, that's all I could handle of LA. But so anyway, yeah. There was a connection that was from a previous life, or a soul connection. You know, and Sylvia Brown, the psychic, said it. Everybody has a soulmate, but doesn't mean you're going to be with them on the earth. It's a soulmate for a reason. And I felt that with Malibu, you know, and like I said, his energy and his ideals and his beliefs and his strengths and his kindness and his sophistication and the way he stood tall and just everything about him, and the way he put his hand on the small of my back whenever we were guided through a restaurant or into a room or wherever we were going. And like I said, for 10 years, I had him in my life, and we're still friends to this day. We are. And, you know, we kind of fell out for a few years, but we reconnected and talked again on the phone, and he's still that man to me. And it's like, am I hung up on him? No, because I'm glad I still know him. I'm glad I get to see him. I'm glad I get to see him through social media or whatever regularly, like not in person, although I would like to see him in person again. But I still think the world of him. And that's the one man that I think shoulda, coulda, woulda. And he had nothing to do with rock and roll. At all. And I always expected the man that I would fall the hardest for would not have anything to do with rock and roll. Because I kept rock and roll so boxed up in my emotional little world into a certain category that when I met this man, like I said, it was just so natural. Even the second that we looked at each other, I was just like, I know this man. Like, I've known him my whole life. And even now I feel just a comfort knowing that he sees me and I see him. So, that we're still somehow in each other's orbit. And that's the man I'm hung up on. He surfs. He does business internationally. He's lived all over the world. Has one of the most amazing, strong, kindest, most graceful voices I've ever heard. Not just what's, the sound of it, but what's coming out of his mouth and how he projects it. And he brought out that side of me and a whole different sophistication and a whole different world that I was working towards because, we all have different chapters and I was working towards a different chapter in my life. So there you guys go. There's the guy I'm hung up on. A man I said spent 10 years in my life seeing and enjoying mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, in every way. He was so fulfilling every time I see him, even now, when I just look at his picture. Right here. I know he's blocked and I looked uncomfortable. This night was crazy night. Like the last years I lived in Vegas, he would always have a friend come. Like he had a couple friends that were coming and I'd try and bring a friend, but didn't always work out and it put a little tension on us, and that was one of those nights. So, but, yep, that's him. And that's the man I'm hung up on, and it's definitely not James Hetfield. So before you ladies project onto me, step back, realize we don't know each other's reality. You don't know mine. You don't know where my heart has gone. I don't know where yours has gone. But I'm not trying to project and defame someone or degrade someone by putting my opinion on it. But there you guys go. There's my reality. That's the man I coulda, shoulda, woulda. And maybe if we do see each other face to face again, who knows? There might be a picture. Salt Lake City, 2023. Because it is going to be 2023. We've got so many amazing possibilities ahead, you guys. So I truly wish everybody Happy New Year's. May you have every dream, every happiness, every joy that there is. So, cheers, big ears. We'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Don't forget, for everybody who's just stumbling on and haunting me, to hit that share button, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Oh, subscribe. Yeah, that.